the Spurs, well, they just dethroned the Kings in Sacramento.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome back to Locked On Spurs right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. And hope you all had a great extended weekend. Rested up, ready to go to start the work week. And we're glad you're doing it right here on Locked On Spurs. Subscribe wherever you get your favorite podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Ken's 5 Plus app, YouTube. You know where to go. Just hit that subscribe button and you're good to go. Hey, also subscribe to the Locked On Spurs newsletter. It's in the description below. Click on that. Sign up. Free. Easy to do. Nice companion piece to Locked On Spurs. So what are we talking about today? We're going to be looking back at Sunday's matchup, Spurs-Kings. Yeah, if you thought the Spurs were down and out at halftime, at the end of the third, you were gravely mistaken. Those young guys, they did it again. Stormed back from a double-figure deficit to win. We're going to be discussing what stood out from the Spurs win on Sunday. For me, I think I'm going to take the easy one, Wemby. I think you're going to like who our guest is going to pick, the topic. And yeah, it's going to be some eye-opening discussion, especially later on in the show when we put Zach Collins in the spotlight. What's going on with him? Bassie seems to be getting a little bit more burn. Mamu's starting to get a little bit more uptick. Where does that leave Collins? We're going to be discussing that later on this episode of Locked On Spurs. Hey, you want to go check out FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can get pretty much you place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. You want to go to FanDuel.com to get started. Yeah, your silver and black, man, they once again show toughness, tenacity, show their mettle. They're growing before our eyes. That's what it pretty much feels like right now. We're seeing them develop. And again, we saw that in the win over Sacramento. Down by double figures to Sacramento during the game. Stormed back a little bit. Sacramento pushes back. Spurs didn't wilt. They did not even blink an eye. They just kept on keeping on. And sure, Barnes and Paul, they had a big part in that, especially Chris Paul. But nevertheless, you saw contributions from other people. Champagny off, double figure scoring. Vassell, more on him later, was on one. You're looking at contributions even from Trey Jones before he got injured. When Sabonis hit him with a hard foul. You're just seeing this team grow before our eyes. And this is exactly what you want to see in this rebuild. Hate to break it to you, we're still in a rebuild. So we're not out of the woods yet. Those guys in silver and black, they're not done yet. But you like the direction going. Dare I say the rebuild could be speeding up as we're seeing these guys just grow and grow each and every game in, game out, even in losses. You're seeing them grow. We're going to be discussing that and much more. But we're going to challenge our guest and myself too. We're going to try to pick one thing that stood out for me and for our guest. Who's going to bring him on. He is Raul Dominguez of the AP Sports. Welcome back, Raul. We go to him every time we have a Spurs road game to look back at what happened. And this time, Raul, the Spurs got a W. Welcome back, Raul.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
By the way, happy Thanksgiving. I didn't get to tell you that a few days ago, so I hope you had a good one, man.
Yeah, I did. It was relaxing. Right. That was good.
Yeah, it's good. That's good. Yeah. I had to invest in new sweatpants afterwards because that belt not fitting that great anymore. I ventured into a fifth plate. Bad idea. I was like halfway done and I'll just curl it up on my cousin's couch. Like, what did I do? What did I do? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. By the way, I already did my 2-3 days of leftovers. I'm done with Thanksgiving meals, okay, for a while. Make sure to follow him on X at Dominguez5. You see it on your screen. Again, he is the AP Sports writer based in San Antonio. Well, the Spurs did it again. Just clawed back from a deficit, beating Sacramento 127-125. Obviously, a big night from Wemby. More on him later. Vassell, I know you want to talk about him later on the show, but I got to start with Wemby. Wemby just being Wemby again. Third career triple-double. He finished with, I got it here, 34 points, 14 rebounds, and 11 assists. He did all that in 36 minutes. Great. Good job, Wemby. We expect that from you, right? But know what I really liked about it, Raul? He was actually being aggressive, going to the lane, going to the rim, seeing a guy like Malik Monk on him and say, you know what? Oh, I'm only 7'4" and tower above him. I get to take this easy to the paint, and you saw that a couple of times. He had like a George Gervin finger roll in one of his post moves to the rim, getting aggressive. Raul, he has that every night if the Spurs put him in that situation. If Chris Paul directs the traffic and says, "Oh, okay, I'm making this up," Malik Monk is on you. Go for it, Wemby. We're gonna have a clear out for you. Dylan Brooks is on you. Go for it. I like where this is going, Raul. I like seeing him being aggressive, going to the paint, not completely relying on the three, although he was a little bit of that versus the Kings. But your thoughts on him being aggressive, going to the lane?
Yeah, he's definitely doing. Then there was one point I think De'Aaron Fox was on him, and as soon as De'Aaron was on him, he set up in the paint, just outside the lane, and he was, asking for the ball, and I think it was Chris Paul that got him the ball. But he recognized that right away. There's been times in the past where he wouldn't really he wouldn't set up in the lane. He'd maybe set up a little bit outside for some reason or whatever. But now he's backing down in the paint. And the good thing is he can either take a shot or he's so good at seeing the whole court. Obviously because he's not just because he's so tall, but he can see who's open, who might be open. So even if he doesn't take the shot, if they happen to send a help defender, he can get it to the next player. Because I think on that play, if I remember correctly, he went up tossing it out. I think it was either Castle or Champagne, and believe they hit a three. So Victor's recognizing those mismatches earlier. He's taking advantage of them a lot quicker, and that's really helping him and the Spurs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He even connected on 11 of 17 shooting, so his shot was definitely falling 65% from the field. And he also connected on 5 3-point makes, good for 56%. He took 9 3-point attempts. A couple of offensive rebounds, a steal. Just was doing it all for San Antonio, as you would expect from a number one overall pick generational player. So good for him. And I'm glad he was there because, this team was kind of sluggish to start the game. Again, that's still bothering me. I know it's a good comeback win. I get it, Spurs fans, you love it. They didn't keel over and just die. But Raul, this is starting to bother me a little to the point now where I'm like, okay, Spurs, that's good, but don't put yourself in that position because eventually that well is going to run dry. Do you still have concerns that they're not kind of starting off the gates hot and taking it to the teams?
The fact that they're able to come back doesn't sort of alleviate some of the concern, but yeah, they definitely need to start start better so that way they're not having to make that big comeback. They're not having to put that much pressure on themselves, but at the same time, it's good for them. They're realizing what it takes to come back from those deficits. They're learning, how to play in the crunch time. So I think overall it's going to help them, but I think eventually, yes, they need to play 48 minutes. Right now, it seems it's 24, 30 minutes that they're as far as what Pop always preaches. 48 minutes of good basketball.
Yeah, and they, and look, they won, and I understand that. We're not trying to rain the parade. It's just that they're being mindful moving forward because, again, that's going to catch up to them. Eventually, them digging out of themselves a hole, is going to catch up. And, you're not going to have Chris Paul, all the time on that court. You can't put yourself in that position. Harrison Barnes or Wemby's, can't play 48 minutes, although I think he wish he could. But, overall, that's still a concern for me. But nevertheless, Victor Wembanyama, what more can you say? I mean, just stellar, doing it outside, doing it inside, passing, assists, obviously 11 assists, being that facilitator. That was one thing you were concerned about heading into the new season. Like, where's he going to grow? And he mentioned it a couple of times, just involving his teammates more. And you saw that with 11 assists. By the way, the starting lineup for the Spurs of Victor Wembanyama, Champagne, Paul, Harrison Barnes, and Castle, they were good for a +3 in the plus-minus column. They played about 12 minutes together. They had a net rating of +12. So that seems to be something. I'm setting something up, guys. That's what I'm doing. I'm setting something up for a discussion later on the show. Keep that in mind. You know what? We're going to let Raul now give his big takeaway. But before we do that, I want to talk to you about FanDuel. Hey, I want to talk to you about FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get 150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need and the place where to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So you get a hunch in the middle of a game. You can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bet. Just visit fanduel.com right now to join today. By the way, the app is very easy to use, user-friendly. It's very intuitive and not hard to navigate whatsoever. Sign up is easy. Hey, look, NFL action, as mentioned, is underway. NBA action is underway. Your Spurs are underway right now. What more do you need? Go to fanduel.com right now to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets. Again, $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. All that takes is just for you to go and sign up right now. That's fanduel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Hey, I want to talk to you about Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee. Go there right now, San Antonio, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive, open every single day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. They have it all. Great menu, cold drinks, hot drinks, coffee, the signature drink, Mudslinger, iced lattes. Pick something you're craving, they'll have it. Check out the menu. We're a proud local sponsor of Locked On Spurs and a proud community member, serving San Antonio the best coffee in the city. Go there right now, open every single day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. They have the Lightning Bolt series, which includes the Alien, which is a drink made in honor of Victor Wembanyama. You got to try it. Speaking of which, hey, they have these drinks, Lightning Bolt series. They're going to be containing Lotus Energy. That's 7 power plant extracts. That gives them flexibility to create new drinks. But if you want Red Bull, you just tell them and they'll put it in there. But the default will be Lotus Energy. Go there right now, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. They even got mini donuts. Best spot in the city to get yourself some coffee. Go there right now, San Antonio. Follow them on social media at Mudslinger SATX. Go there right now because life is too short for bland coffee. You're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Raul Dominguez of the AP Sports. Follow him on X at Dominguez Cinco and do that right now. He's a good follow. Good stuff. By the way, I saw your post on X. You caught Wemby yelling something at the free throw line. What was that?
Yeah, it was because I was watching that. I heard somebody scream. I thought, usually when you hear somebody scream in a Spurs game, usually it's Keldon. So I wasn't really paying too much attention to it was Sabonis was shooting a free throw, and it was after I think a kind of maybe a bit of a questionable call, at least on Wemby's eyes, on him. I fell on Sabonis, and so I wasn't really paying attention to who was on the, lined up on the free throw lane. So I heard the scream, so I rewound it. I was like, "Who was that? Was that Keldon?" And then I noticed that after he missed he hit the front of the rim, Sabonis did, and he missed it. Wemby goes in the lane, he does, that yell that he does, where he'll sort of go like this, and I just kind of just cracked me up, just sort of the. I've never seen somebody yell other than Keldon. Somebody yelled that loud, on a missed free throw.
It kind of looks like that. That's kind of what it looked like when he yells. That's Wemby's kind of fist pumping to the ground, screaming, yelling, all that stuff. But no, I'm glad you put that out there. See, another good reason why you should follow Raul. Get you those great little video clips again at Dominguez Cinco. Again, we're looking back at what happened. Spurs Kings got the W. Good job, San Antonio Spurs, 127-125. And what a way to start this mini 2-game road games. They got Phoenix, I think, tomorrow. So we'll see how they fare against them. But Wemby was the obvious standout, and how he did it. And what I liked about it was him going to the paint. You have an interesting point or view. You want to talk about Vassell. What are your thoughts on Vassell? What did you think about him during the game?
Vassell's doing what he's always done. It's just that, unfortunately, he struggles at times to stay healthy. But, his whole career, he's been a shot maker. He's been a scorer. Someone that can come through with a basket. Seems like with Devin, the harder the shot it is, the easier it is for him. If you give him an open jumper, sometimes he won't hit it. Some guys like climbing all over him. He drains it, without any problem. So, he did that again. They wound up, taking Castle out. I think Castle was struggling a little bit. So they put Devin in, and Devin closed out, and he did great. I mean, he looked like old Devin. I think for Devin it's a little tougher because he didn't. I think it was the first 9 games I believe he did not play while he was recovering from that fractured toe. So I don't know as far as the conditioning wise, as far as his timing wise. He was just starting to get back into it. I think he played 4 games, and then he was out again with a bruised knee. And now I think he's starting to get back the rhythm, the timing.
Oh yeah.
And the conditioning, and also playing along with Victor and kind of getting that chemistry back. But tonight he wound up with 21 points on 8 for 12 shooting. He was 5 for 8 on 3-pointers, 3 assists. It looked like the old Devin, the Devin that we've seen and that people were talking about. Well, Devin's going to be Victor's running mate, and then with how well Steph's played, a lot of people say, oh, well, it's going to be Victor and Steph, but that's a pretty good 3-headed monster right there. It is. Devin, Steph, and Victor. So I mean, Dev really impressed me. It looked like he's starting to get back to where he was before, and it also presents some interesting situations for the Spurs as far as, we're going to talk about this later as far as rotations and stuff, but it's a good problem to have with all these players playing well right now.
No, it definitely is, and it would take a deeper dive into what Devin did versus Sacramento. Just efficient, just so efficient. For the first quarter, he went 2 for 3. Second quarter, he went 2 for 5. Third quarter, he went 2 for 2 from the field. Fourth quarter, 2 for 2. First half, basically 4 and 8, and then second half, he went a perfect 4 for 4. So, just really values the ball, and he's getting there for a little everywhere. He hit 3 3-point shots. He hit 3 mid-range shots. He had a corner 3. Just was really, really just cooking Sacramento, just like kind of dissecting them little by little. And then you look at other things too here. In the first quarter, 5 points. Second quarter, 5 points. Third quarter, 5 points. Fourth quarter, 6 points. Again, just balanced scoring. And you like that. Again, as you mentioned, if Vassell's going to be the running mate. Overall, Devin looks like he's slowly coming to form, but we got to address the elephant in the room. Does he get a starting job back, though?
Yeah, that's what I was mentioning. Like, it's an interesting question. I mean, because Julian done a great job, but I always figured once Julian or once Devin got healthy, that Julian would be out of the starting lineup. But then we had the Jeremy injury, and so Steph wound up. Julian stayed in the starting lineup. Steph went into the starting lineup. Well, now you got Devin back. You're going to have Jeremy back pretty soon. So, who goes to that bench? Either way, it's going to make the Spurs a lot stronger because either you're going to have Steph and Julian on the bench, or maybe Devin on the bench. I don't see them taking Chris or Harrison out of the starting lineup because of how much what an impact they have, not only offensively but just sort of experience wise and almost like being coaches on the court. So it's going to be an interesting problem. You figure, once Jeremy comes back, I mean, they're going to have to put Jeremy back in the starting lineup. They're going to have to, all the dirty work he does, the rebounding, the defense, follow ups. So I feel like they need Jeremy in that starting lineup. So again, that presents an interesting problem because then where do you go from there?
Yeah, exactly. You talk about that bench and how potent it can be. Versus Sacramento, the Spurs second unit, those second reserve guys, 45 points collectively off that bench versus Sacramento. So, it's a potent as it is of this recording right now. Now, imagine if Vassell stays on that bench, or heck, if Julian comes off that bench. Julian has 16 points, I believe. I double check on that versus the Kings. No, he had 19, so even better. So he had 19 points. So you potentially could have either way you slice it, you're going to have just a deadly second unit. Whether it's Champagny, whether that's Vassell, whether that's Castle, whether that's Sohan. I don't know. I doubt it, but I mean that's still a chance there. And think about this too: 17 points off the bench for Keldon Johnson. And again, it just lends to exactly what can be with Vassell if he stays on that bench. If the Spurs opt that way, and also too, he's technically a veteran. So that's still a veteran presence coming off that second unit.
Mhm. Yeah, and I was going to say, early on, it seemed like bench scoring was a little bit of a problem that they weren't sure where they're going to get that scoring from, But then at that time, Devin was out, and they had to move Julian to the starting lineup,
Yeah.
and a few other players injured or not in the rotation. So early on they were having some problem scoring off the bench, but now that second unit can be. Again, not to that level, but maybe that 2014 type of bench where they come in and they just, run teams out of the building, and then you put the starters back in, and then it's even worse. So, having a strong bench was one of the key factors for the Spurs winning the championships. I mean, because you bring Manu off the bench, you bring Thiago off the bench, Patty Mills, like those guys just. Didn't give the other team a rest. So if they can build anything close to that with these guys, I mean, that's going to really help them, not just this season, but moving forward.
Absolutely, absolutely. How good was the Spurs win? Let's give you the time of a leading. So the Kings led 35 minutes and 36 seconds during the entire game. The Spurs led for 8 minutes and 24 seconds. So they stormed back. And they really, really, surprised the Kings with that win. And by the way, Vegas had the Spurs losing by 6.5 points. So hate to break it to you guys. Y'all bet money on that. Y'all lost that. So, and you see, that's why you don't bet. I can't do that. I can't do it. I gotta have I'll be too OCD about it. Like who's playing, who's not playing. Like I would get sucked into that world. So I try not to do it. And I'm afraid of the day if Texas does make it legal. So, I avoided it when I was in New York. I don't know if I can do it again. He is Raul Dominguez. Make sure to follow him on X at Dominguez5. Again, the Spurs got that W. 127-125. They'll next face the Phoenix Suns, I believe, on tomorrow night, I believe. So we'll see how the Spurs fare against that team. All right, coming up next, we're going to be asking or discussing or putting in the spotlight, I should say, Zach Collins. Kind of been quiet, huh? What's going on with that? What has happened to him in the rotation? We're going to be discussing that coming up next. But first, I want to talk to you about BetterHelp. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Look, Halloween lets us have fun with what scares us, but what about those fears that don't involve zombies and ghosts? Therapy is a great tool for facing your fears and finding ways to overcome them. Because sometimes the scariest thing is not facing our fears in the first place and holding ourselves back. Therapy is very helpful. Learning coping skills, positive coping skills, setting boundaries, what empowers you to be the best version of yourself if it isn't just those for those experienced major traumas, those for also who experience good things, just want to keep those good things going. So if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, suited to your schedule. You just fill out a brief questionnaire, get matched with a licensed therapist, switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Go to BetterHelp right now. It'll help you become your better version of yourself. Overcome your fears with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. You're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Raul Dominguez, the only man I've seen defeat Thanos and Hulk at the same time. Without the gauntlet and the gems.
Not me. I'm still trying to get past Groot. So,
Baby Groot. You're still going to read him, yeah. He is the AP sports writer based in San Antonio. Follow him on X at Dominguez5. Now we're going to be shifting gears now and talking about Zach Collins. He's kind of a lightning rod with Spurs fans. You go on social media and, a lot of negative comments towards Zach Collins' way. But as this team is starting to get healthy, by the way, yes, Trey Jones did exit the game versus Sacramento with an apparent shoulder injury. He did not return, so as of this recording, we don't know his status moving forward, but it looks like he might be out for a few days. He took a nasty hit from Domantas Sabonis. So at least, we're going to get Jeremy back. So maybe Trey Jones won't come back. The point of the matter is they're getting healthier. It's not a laundry list of who's out anymore. Sohan's back. Obviously, Vassell's back. Wemby's back. Keldon was out for a couple of games or game there, here and there. He's back. That leaves Zach Collins. Zach Collins, Raul, he's been seeing his minutes, I want to say slide, but definitely, you're seeing a guy like Mamu get playing time ahead of him. You're seeing guys like Bassi get playing time ahead of him. Now, Zach did play against Sacramento, but again, Bassi got time ahead. And in previous games, you saw Mamu getting in a lot earlier. Do you think Zach is falling out of rotation right now?
Yeah, I mean it's. I was looking at the box score right now. Zach only had 6 minutes, but then Bassi also only had 6 minutes.
Yeah.
So Sandro didn't play. They stuck pretty much with an 8-man rotation. With Keldon, Trey before he got hurt, and Devin, and then the starters. So, I think it's just kind of situational. I think Coach Johnson, Mitch Johnson, kind of sees kind of the matchups and kind of what he wants to do. But it definitely, from previous games as well, Zach's minutes are definitely getting cut into either for Bassi or for Sandro. I know Spurs fans hate Zach. I've always liked Zach's game. I like what Zach brings.
Me too.
He's brought a grit to the Spurs team that I think that only him and Jeremy and now Chris Paul have. Before it was just Zach and Jeremy, sticking up for their teammates, not letting anyone run over people. I've always liked that aspect of his game where he's very much a team player. Nobody's going to pick on my guys. That kind of player. I think you always every team needs sort of an enforcer or someone that isn't going to allow some other teams to step all over them. I think Zach's a great passer. I think the injury is impacted him more than maybe he's let on. Because some of his shots aren't quite there. He's making some shots are short. So I think that's bothered him. I still think that he can still have a big impact. I don't see them trading him. But the big thing is the Spurs have a really nice problem as far as if you look at around the league, they're talking about Pirtle possibly getting traded, Williams up in Portland getting traded. I'm trying to remember who else, but Valanciunas from the Wizards getting traded. There's a big demand for big men, especially with the contending team. So Spurs have a great problem. They got Wemby, they got Collins, they got Bassi. Sandro can play, the post as well. So again, it's a good problem to have. I know Spurs fans love to hate Zach, but when he has his games, once he has the big good games, he's a very good backup for Wemby. And I think we've talked about it before. I'd love to see Collins and Wemby get some time together because again, Zach is such a great passer. I'd like to see him, not now that Wemby's gotten a little bit more comfortable with his role. I'd like to see maybe Zach come in there. Zach's ready to throw in lobs and throw these little bounce passes. But I don't know what's going to happen. I think his minutes are definitely going to continue to get eat into because of the way Bassi's playing. Because Bassi, his defense, his energy. I don't see how. I don't see how you don't put him on the floor.
Yeah, it's either with Mamu too. Mamu's ability to spread the floor is just so enticing, and Collins can't do that. Now, look, we're not going to be here and being bleeping on Collins, at all whatsoever. I echo what Raul just said. He's a great player. I mean, Raul and we seen him in that locker room, just a locker room presence, just really cool, really guy. He's willing to talk to media, and even if he had a bad game, he's open to it. So he's a very, very great locker room guy. But you're starting to see a pattern here. The last time he had 20 minutes or more was on November 21st against the Jazz. He played about 21 minutes, 20:59, but 21 minutes. And then after that, against the Warriors, 12 minutes. Against the Jazz on November 26th, 6 minutes. Against the Lakers, November 27th, 11 minutes. And then, of course, last night, about 6 minutes, 5:43, but 6 minutes. So you're starting to see that pattern. And also, too, as you talk about it, the Spurs have a good problem on their hands because you got a bruiser, you got a guy that's going to be, throwing for your teammate if things get a little rowdy on the court. And he's a capable guy. He's capable offensively and he's capable defensively. But when you have a big like Bassey who's just like I swear to God, there's trampolines on his shoes. There has to be because of his ability to rebound, block shot. There was no drop off with block shots or just paint, rim protection when Wemby was out for a few games. Bassey was doing that and doing it well. The Spurs now have 16 consecutive games of more blocks than their opposition. That includes the other night's win over Sacramento. So, and that's a credit to Wemby and Bassey. Zach Collins is not there. Now, it's a two-edged sword, isn't it, though? I mean, how can he prove it if he's not getting the run, right, Raul?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's a good problem to have, but like I said, it's just I think we've talked about this as well. You know, maybe off cameras. You know, seeing Wemby, you know, getting time with Collins or with Bassey. I mean, that would be fun to watch.
In Wemby's rookie year, didn't they start together to start the year, like his rookie season?
Yeah, they did
for a while, right? Yeah,
they did, but you know, that time it was just sort of a weird experiment. One, because you had Jeremy obviously at the point guard, but it was weird because both Wemby and Collins were both, you know, they would camp out at the three-point line. To me, it would have made more sense maybe to have Zach be the interior and Wemby, you know, be on the three-point line or vice versa. You know, mix it up, but I don't think it worked just because, you know, you had two big men shooting three-pointers and nobody was in the lane. Because remember, they struggled early last season as far as getting rebounds and having any sort of rim presence. So I think now that Wemby's gotten a little bit more comfortable and the Spurs realize what he can do, you know, I think it'd be fun to see Zach in there. Maybe Zach almost be sort of like what Robinson and Duncan were, you know, maybe get the ball around the free throw lane and just, you know, toss it into Wemby or, you know. So, but
again, you know, we'll see, you know, as this team gets healthier. Yes, there was a setback with Trey Jones getting hurt. Likely he's going to be out. If you all saw the injury, it looked pretty rowdy. The Spurs have not said anything, but it looked like he got shoulder dislocation. Hopefully it's nothing like that. Hopefully it's just a stinger and it just really hit him hard, you know. But eventually he'll come back. They'll be at full power, and you're likely going to see some players see their minutes trail off. And right now you're seeing that with Zach Collins. Looking over the last few games, though, as far as offensive production, he went scoreless versus Sacramento. 4 points versus the Lakers. In the previous game, 0 points versus Utah in November 26. 0 points November 23rd versus the Warriors. His last double-figure outing was on November 21st versus Utah with 18 points. See, he's capable, though. But look, in that game, he had 21 minutes. 18 points, 5 rebounds, block shot, one offensive rebound, 67% shooting. You see, it's a double-edged sword. You know, you get the minutes, you're going to produce. And if you're using that game, Zach Collins can be that. But I would not be surprised, Raul, come trade deadline, you start hearing his name dangled out there. And I can definitely hear those kind of rumors popping up, Raul.
Yeah, definitely. I think you know, Zach's going to be if the Spurs, even if they don't make him available, I think teams are still going to be calling and inquiring about him. And just because he's such a good team player. I mean, same thing with I don't think he's at that level, but same thing with Derek White, where Derek White could,
I remember that,
fit in with any team. I think Zach could fit in with any team, you know, chemistry wise, I think he'd be able to adapt to, the style of play, to whatever the coach wants, if for some reason maybe a team, say they want Pirtle and they can't get him, either Toronto doesn't let him go or they want more than, they're willing to give, you could see teams coming after Zach.
Yeah, I definitely can see it. Now, should I add more fuel to the fire for the side of the line of Spurs fans not liking Collins? Because if stats don't lie, Raul, then we got to bring this up. Whenever Zach Collins is on the court, the Spurs have a net rating of minus 11.3. When he's off the court, the Spurs have a net rating of 4.9 plus. So that could just be line up and make up rotation, could be limited minutes. Do that with you will, everybody, but there's something there for those fans that see something else, don't see the positive. But I do think he does bring positives to the court, the locker room. He's a he's a guy that's going to get in your face. He's a guy that's going to do the dirty work. He's going to set the hard screens. He's going to, at least attempt a three, whether he makes it or not. He'll at least try to space the floor. He does get you rebounds. Zach Collins, going to be interesting to see his future in San Antonio, considering how well Bassey's playing, and of course Mamu's ability to spread the floor. And they bring up Mamu. I mean, they bring up Wemby. We know Wemby's going to be Wemby. So we'll see what happens, though. Go ahead.
The thing is, Zach has a team-friendly contract, so I'm sure teams are going to at least inquire about Zach.
Yeah, exactly. I can see that too. And look, if it's true that injury that he's not letting on, and maybe it is bothering him, I hope he does let them know, because with Zach getting quality minutes, he does produce, as we just proved right now, when he got a little over 20 minutes a game, and he did produce positively for the Spurs. But when you give a guy 20 minutes one game, and then 5 minutes one game, and then 11 minutes one game, that's going to just mess up your rhythm.
Yeah, no. When I said that about the injuries earlier, I wasn't talking about as far as like maybe injury bothering him. I just mean as far as like, because he didn't really have an off season. He had the shoulder surgery, so
right.
He didn't really get the. A lot of the Spurs were working out all summer.
Yeah,
but he didn't get the chance to work on his game because he was obviously he couldn't do anything after the surgery, and I'm not sure how long it was before he could start putting up shots, working on his game. So I think that set him back. So
good point.
I think you have to kind of take that into your thoughts when you think about the way he's playing right now. I think he's going to. I think it's taken him a little longer to get readjusted.
Yeah, exactly. And again, erratic minutes, playing time on the court, that's going to mess you up too. Different rotations. They're going this for all intents and purposes. Spurs are going through a coaching change right now. Where it's obvious. So now he has to get used to maybe Mitch's rotations. So things just happen. And look, I'm pretty sure it's impacting other players, but we're putting Zach Collins in focus right now, and you got to factor into all this when you evaluate Zach Collins completely. He is Raul Dominguez of the AP Sports. Make sure to follow him on X at Dominguez5. What are you working on right there, Raul? What's going on the AP side of things?
Well, just kind of waiting for the Spurs to get back into town, and just watching the impact that Chris Paul has on this team. Unfortunately, with Pop, still out, and prayers to him for, full recovery. But I think with Pop out, that's Chris's impact on the team is only grown because, they don't have that, the veteran voice that they always had. Mitch is a great coach, but he doesn't have the experience that Chris Paul has. I mean, Chris is 2 years older than his coach, so so I think his voice is really helping this team progress.
Absolutely,
he obviously has a different approach to them than Pop does, and I think that's really helping this team out. It's helping them build their confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been just so surprised with Chris Paul this season. I wasn't expecting the bigger impact. I knew he was going to have an impact. I didn't expect the impact to be at this level. At all. Just
his game. Wow. Tonight against Sacramento, he hit that three. It's just, his age, he's still playing, almost an all-star level.
Yeah. I think Harrison Barnes said at the last home game, I think it was Harrison Barnes said it's a renaissance for him. It has been. I think the youth has injected a lot of life into him. We've seen how he interacts with the young guys in the locker room. Just he gives it back to them. They're all kidding around, but it's just a fun locker room. I think that's energized him as well too. And of course, playing with Wemby helps too. Having that, beast along your side during games. But yeah, I look forward to all things that Raul has for you over in the AP Sports side of things. You want to follow him on Dominguez5. Subscribe to Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Kens 5 Plus app, YouTube. You know where to go. Locked On Spurs newsletters in the description below. Click on that. Subscribe to it. It's completely free. Completely free, yes. Look, you don't have to do no Cyber Monday deals or anything like that. It's free. My wallet just heard me say that, and my wallet's screaming in my ear right now like, don't you even think about it. Black Friday deals, you just wrecked me. But it's completely free, everybody. So subscribe to the Locked On Spurs newsletter. So for Raul Dominguez, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put on lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.